Before I start, this video is going to be a bit intense because it was an intense day visiting some intense sites. If you're someone who has avoided hearing the details of October 7th, please keep listening. Hearing this is so important. Day 6 was about visiting the south, an area we hear called the Gaza envelope, but residents are calling it the Western Negev. It was a day of highs and lows, tears, smiles, and hugs. We started the day by visiting the Adi Rehabilitation Village, an amazing facility dedicated to ensuring everyone of every ability is able to reach or return to their full potential. In addition to being a world-class rehabilitation center with specialized equipment like an anti-gravity treadmill, they were also a village, school, therapy center, and more. Everything they do is aimed at providing the most support customized to the exact needs of every resident. No two wheelchairs are alike because no two people's needs are alike. There was an amazing sign at the entrance to their elementary school. Sometimes I'm different, sometimes I'm the same, I'm always equal. The best part was that in their horse therapy farm, they have a special needs horse, a midget horse, who is small enough to go into the wards and visit the children who can't leave their beds, so they can still engage in the horse therapy, a truly amazing institution. Despite being right on the main road and right between several communities that were attacked on October 7th, and despite being a site that would have been easy pickings for the Hamas terrorists, they never entered the village. The maps Hamas was using had the facility marked as a school, and schools were closed October 7th. So the terrorists drove right past it. From there, we visited the community of Ofakim, in which 50 plus people were killed on October 7th. We heard the stories of several homes. One story was Rachel Eldridge, who stalled the terrorists in her home for hours by feeding them and baking cookies for them. Keeping those terrorists in her home saved countless lives and allowed an elite police unit to take their home, kill the terrorists inside while saving Rachel and her husband. Another story was of a father who saved his whole family by lowering his children out the back window before being murdered himself by the terrorists. Another story of a father and son who ran into the fighting, armed only with a single pistol between them, murdered, doing their best to protect their friends and neighbors. It's a city of heroes. The next stop was a site with all the cars that were shot out, burned, and otherwise destroyed on October 7th. It was row after row of hundreds of cars, maybe 1,500 total. Each one on the site, each one was the site of someone shot, killed, or wounded. Some were hit by RPGs, some had their gas tanks shot, some had drivers and passengers killed at point blank range. We saw terrorist pickup trucks, motorbikes, burned out ambulances, and police cars. Hundreds of people were killed in those cars and hundreds more injured. On the way out, we learned this was one of two such lots. The scale of October 7th captured in cars. From there, we went to the site of the Nova Music Festival, a gut-wrenching stop amongst a day of gut-wrenching stops. 4,000 plus music lovers dancing all night long. Then at the crack of dawn, sirens sound, rockets rain down, terrorists land on hang gliders, more on motorbikes and in pickup trucks. Then proceed to slaughter at least 364 people in the most gruesome way imaginable, tying people to trees, torturing them, raping them, and finally murdering many and kidnapping many more. The site is filled with posters of those killed and taken hostage. Walking through the posters, face after face after face of people's children, parents, siblings, spouses, and friends. People from all nations, races, and religions killed for no reason other than being in Israel. While we were at this site, we kept hearing booms from artillery being fired towards Gaza from bases nearby. A reminder, we're in an active war zone. Standing there, my thought went to Parsha Bereshit, when Hashem said to Cain, "Hark, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." At the Nova Festival, you had Hirsch Goldberg Poland, whose mother we heard from on the first day. Hirsch was there with his friend Aner Shapira. After the slaughter began, Hirsch and Aner started running for their lives and eventually took shelter in a tiny roadside bomb shelter with 30 others. The shelter was quickly surrounded by Hamas terrorists. Aner took charge, telling the others in the room that he's a soldier in an elite unit and was going to keep everybody safe. He told everyone to get down and he would guard the door. He said that if he fell, someone would need to step up and take his place. The terrorists threw a grenade into the shelter. Aner caught it and threw it out. Terrorists threw in another grenade while shooting at the door. Aner caught it and threw it out. 6 more grenades thrown in, all six thrown out by Aner. Finally, on the 9th, Aner wasn't able to throw it out in time. It exploded in the shelter, killing Aner and many others. Hirsch lost his arm and was taken hostage with several others, and are still being held in Gaza 226 days later. Several people survived because they were under the other dead bodies, and Hamas thought they were all dead. We know these details because we have video from Hamas's GoPro. I posted a link to that video below. The calmness of the Hamas terrorists as they threw the grenades in is eerie. Between the Nova site and the cars, the scale and the brutality of October 7th really hits in a way it can't if you're not here. May Hashem avenge their blood. The day started on a high at Adi, then went to the deepest of lows, but we ended on another high. We visited an Air Force base and helped prepare and serve a barbecue for the soldiers are stationed there. We ate with the soldiers from Unit 669, the Combat Search and Rescue Unit. These are the best of the best who make sure no one is left behind. It was truly an honor meeting these amazing men and women and letting them know the entire Jewish world is behind them. Being there with them meant a lot to them and gives them the strength knowing they are not alone. I told them all I came to Israel to give the entire country a giant hug. While I was there, I did give hugs to dozens of different soldiers. Only about 10 million more hugs to give out. Truly inspiring final stop of a long day. Throughout the day, everywhere we went, we got a security briefing about what to do in the event of a siren. We learned how long we have in each location, where the shelters were, and what to do if we can't reach one in time. Luckily, we didn't hear any sirens, but on the bus ride back to our hotel, we got a notification on the Red Alert app that sirens were sounding in Sa'at, where we just were a few hours earlier. The mission of the day was to bear witness so we can bring the accounts back to the world. Reading about what happened and seeing videos is one thing. Being here is a completely different thing. Anyone who has the ability to come should get here as soon as they can. You need to bear witness. You need to support the communities, and you need to show the people that they are not alone. Let's do today's Counting from Darkness to Light initiative. Today is the 226th day, which is 7 months, 1 week, and 4 days in the darkness. May it be God's will that our loved ones be protected and rescued from those seeking to harm them, and may they return quickly to their homes and families in peace and health. Amen. I'll end on a high note. At Adi, the person leading our tour, shared a personal story. His grandfather moved to Israel in 1936. He wants to be able to go back in time and show him a 2-minute YouTube video of a traffic jam on the route to Jerusalem, or the skyscrapers of Tel Aviv, and say this is what will be in 80 years. His grandfather would have said, "You're living in the days of Mashiach." Despite the horrors of October 7th, the war we find ourselves in today, and whatever tomorrow brings, Israel truly is a miracle. And I feel so blessed and privileged to be here this week. That's all for now. With love from Israel, Am Yisroel Chai.